Well, good evening, laddies, lasses, and lassos. Welcome to the click. You smell absolutely astounding today. Do you know what the best weapon in the world is? You say like a sword, a nuclear bomb? You are not creative enough, my friend. The best way to do it is to turn trauma back as a weapon to people you want payback at. You know, another way to traumatize people is to make sure you smell them ahead of time, just to tell them how well they smell. Isn't that right, Freddy? Oh yes, indeed, Freddy. Come closer, Freddy. You cannot escape my beautiful smelling organs, Freddy. Oh yes, indeed. You just treat me with that smell, don't you? Anyway, speaking of traumatizing aspects, today we're going to look at r/TraumatizeThemBack, which is a beautiful subreddit of really snazzy comebacks and places where you just traumatize people back that are being really mean or over the top, or just get back at your bullies, that kind of vibe. And I do hope you're here for it. Enjoy. Mwah. Oh, by the way, I think it's important to have a disclaimer in a video talking about trauma and those serious subjects. In the link in the description, you can find nothing. The emotional support team is coming back as a permanent item in 2024. Probably in March or something like that. So if this video gives you trauma, pick up a plushie. Oh, yes. Woo! I'm joking. I love you, emotional support team. You're so very beautiful. Yes, indeed. Plushies are not replacements for real therapy. Disclaimer. Let's get into the video. Okay. Oh, this is a great start. Oh, no. My mom counted down the days until I turned 18. Then she kicked me out of the house. Then she had the audacity to ask if she could live with me. Content warning, abuse. My mom never wanted me. She came from a deeply Mormon family and got knocked up by Southern Baptist boy. I suspect she intentionally got preggo so my dad would be forever tied to her. She didn't know he would love me more than he would ever love her. She only ever saw me as competition. This is like some r/insane parents in a nutshell. You know, a family is going great when the mother is like jealous of the kids. Dear God. There is a story I've been told many times from different people, and it's always been told the same way. When my uncle first saw me, he said, "My God, she's the most beautiful baby I've ever seen." My mom's go-to response started that day. "Thanks, she looks like me." No, don't be insecure beside your kid. Jesus Christ, allow your kid to revel in compliments. That's a good thing. Oh no. She couldn't have me believing I was pretty in private. She was always so casually cruel to me. My dad would defend me and she did not like that at all. The divorce wasn't my fault. Dad still loved me. He swore he would never forget me and that we would see each other again soon. My mom kept me from him until I was an adult. He died a year and a half after I found him. That is so tragic. Oh my God. When I was going through his belongings, I found letters my mom had written to him. He kept all of them. The entire time she was telling us she had no idea where he was, that he had run from his child support obligations. She was writing to him. She was lying about the whole thing and just keeping him away until you have no chance of like reconnecting down the road. That is so cruel. And it gets even worse because he's obviously like the good parent in the situation, right? He's the one that cares and, you know, not casually insults their child. Oh my God. She knew where he was all along. She didn't want me to know. I don't know what my dad's response was to any of her letters, if he ever wrote back. She didn't keep any of them. The birch of it is, the entire time she was telling me she had no idea where my dad was. She would tell me how badly she wished she knew because she didn't want me anymore. Oh my God, it's like a double-edged sword. You're keeping the dad away by saying to everyone how horrible he is, but then you're also telling your kid that no one outside of this household wants you, but then also telling the kid that you don't want them either. Holy shit, man. She wished she could send me to my dad, but he didn't want me either. Yes, he did. My mom had been married many times since the divorce, and each one of her husbands noticed me. One husband said to her, "I clearly didn't marry you for your looks. Now, ex-mo? What does that mean? Does ex-mo mean ex-Mormon? I guess that's what it means. Instead of setting her husband straight, she packed everything I owned into my car while I was sleeping over at a friend's house. Even the driver's seat was packed. She had the spare key to my car. So I left and made something of my life. I have been married a quarter of a century to the same person, and we have an amazing child together. That's beautiful. It brings me some hope to see that stories like this have a happy ending, but no one should ever have to go through this. What an absolutely awful person. And even if the hypothesis about the baby trapping is correct, right? If you intend to baby trap, at least be prepared to be a decent parent. Holy shit. I have a great life. It's not perfect, but I have so much to be grateful for. And my mom is constantly there with the subtle jabs and digs, lest I get too comfortable. A few years ago, my mom's boyfriend decided he couldn't leave his wife and children for her. After all, she called me crying. I happened to be on a road trip with my husband who was driving. Oh, so she was like, she was being a bit of a homewrecker at the same time. That's... I mean, yeah, it's consistent with the character arc, isn't it? Oh my god. Boyfriend is leaving me! She was hysterical. She suddenly had nowhere to go because she couldn't afford the house they were renting without her boyfriend's paycheck. The problem was, boyfriend calculated how much child support and alimony was going to be and decided he couldn't afford it. She wanted to come live with us. My husband could hear my mom's side of the conversation because she was wailing and we were in the car. He didn't want to be rude by interrupting the conversation, but I could tell he was panicking. Yeah, I would be too if like I had a really nasty mother-in-law that all of a sudden like, I'm gonna come live with you because I didn't manage to do the home wrecking. Oh my god, no. No. He can't stand her. There is no way she can live under his roof, not peacefully anyway. Husband is retired military. He has zero fricks to give when it comes to her. He hates putting me in the middle though. He bites his tongue. A lot. He is my knight in shining armor. I said, when I was a child, you used to tell me that I didn't have a home. Remember? You said that it was your home, and when I turned 18, I would have to go find my own home. Remember? Well, I made my own home. Go find your own. And then I hung up on her. My husband just laughed. I can't believe you did that. Actually, yes, I can. That must be so satisfying after all that time, but the sheer entitlement, can you imagine that you kick someone out when they turn 18 after treating them like crap, making sure they cut ties with other parts of the family by telling them they're loved by no one, and then you kick them out anyway? Like what's the point? You're not even doing it to keep the child to yourself like a controlling abuser would. You're just having them here to make them feel bad because you're jealous of them, but also cut them off from other people and then dump them on the side of the street. It's oh my god, holy crap! I am so sorry anyone ever has to go through this kind of stuff, but the sweetest payback is that you're living a good life now. This person did not get their way, and you proved them wrong, and that is absolutely amazing. r/TraumatizeThemBack. It won't last. Said to me by my birchy, thrice-divorced older sister when I first got married. Saw her recently. She lives out of town. She asked snidely if I was still married. I said yes, very happily. She looked shocked and said she didn't think we would last. I laughed and said amazingly, my one marriage was longer than all 3 of hers. She got in her car and left. F you. We celebrate 12 years next Tuesday, Birch. Oh my god, 0 fricks given indeed. I think there is like a general level of truth to stories like this though. One thing you notice in life is that people that are happy or content in their own thing very rarely feels the need to jab at others. This very much feels projecting in a bit of a way, because if I can't make my marriages work, and other people can't either, then it's fine because then it's not me being bad. So it's almost like verifying that they are not the problem, you know, while also giving subtle jabs at other people, trying to bring them down to the same level so they don't feel bad about it, which is a wild thing to do. Sometimes, I randomly think about the time a girl posted this in a girls-only Facebook group I'm in, telling everyone how she broke up with her boyfriend and he lied, saying that he lost the spare key she gave him, only to then break into her apartment when she wasn't home and steal the cat they adopted while they were together. But then he denied having done this, and she didn't really have proof that he took the cat since he wouldn't let her come into his place and look for it. And then another girl saw this post and knew her ex-boyfriend, and she was like, "Girl, I used to hook up with that man back in XXX, and I still have his number. If you want, I'll hit him up and get him to invite me back to his place and see if your cat's there." And the OP was like, "Ha, bet." So this woman hit up Home Dog, asked him out for drinks, went home with him, slept with him, and then woke up in the middle of the night and took the cat. Like she had only said that she would confirm if the cat was there, but then she took it upon herself to steal this woman's cat back. Like she full on Trojan horse this man, and then hit up Homegirl like, "I got the goods, where you wanna meet?" And then the two of them posted a photo of them together with the cat to the group. And I just think women supporting women is beautiful. Oh my god, that is a real Trojan horse. I wonder what the dude's reaction must be. It's like, sweet, got laid with his friends with benefits, and then you wake up in the morning and realize the whole thing was an operation, and they just Trojan horse the cat you stole. That is such an amazing story. You can make like a series out of all these stories. That'd be so good, like little short movies of just wild plot twists. I would enjoy that so much. r/TraumatizeThemBack. I traumatized a girl for bullying me, matching energy. I, 16F, am in school with a girl, 16F, who constantly bullies me. She is the top reason for my declining self-esteem, thanks to her comments about my face and a series of cruel pranks. She was a foster kid for a few years after her birth parents abandoned her when she was 7. I recently learned this from my teacher after the said incident. This morning, she told me that I am unlovable because of the way I look, and I can get no one to ask me out, and my parents also may not love me. She is usually considered to be a pretty girl. I was so done this morning and blurted out, "Shame, but my parents love me enough not to abandon me while yours clearly did. Who's unlovable now?" It seemed like she had a fit. Sobs followed, and she threw a crying tantrum. I obviously was enjoying this, and this made her lose it even more. This definitely got to my teacher, who told me about her and never say that stuff again, while also standing up for me and telling this girl she will be watched like a hawk so that she doesn't bully anyone ever again. After knowing her story, I feel pretty bad, but also there's a wicked satisfaction. Yeah, it definitely lives up to the subreddit TraumatizeThemBack, oh my god. But I suppose this kind of falls into the category of like, if you can't take a hit, don't step into the ring. Like, if you're gonna come after someone and intensely bully them, and they one day have enough and turn back and slap back with something you feel bad about, or something that will be sensitive to you, I don't know, it doesn't make it right, but you're the one who started it, fam. Like, come on. Racist boss makes up a racist comment without realizing OP is mixed. Ooh, I can feel this in my spine. Let's dig into it, shall we? I, 26F, used to work construction, oil field labor specifically. There was a particular foreman who was fond of me. We'll call him Will. Will was 50-something, typical white construction guy with several baby mamas and a god complex. He liked having me on his crew, so I became part of the base crew and saw many temporary bodies come and go over the years. It didn't matter to me. I was saving money for school and enjoyed the constant cash flow. This particular job had a pair of indigenous brothers from a nearby reserve. Typical indigenous boys, hardworking but joking and laughing all the time. Will did not like these two, because of course he didn't. I kept my mouth shut and kept the peace, because the brothers didn't seem to mind. That is until Will approached me one day to ask me to do a task. "Sorry to make you do everything, but I just don't trust those native guys." Oh, boom. Gauntlet dropped. Now for context, I am quite pretty, or so I've been told. Pale skin, blue eyes, dark hair. I smile ever so sweetly at Will. "You must not know, I am native." I have never seen the color drown out of someone's face so quickly. Will looked like the ghosts of my ancestors bore down upon him in the middle of the woods that day. I am indigenous, in fact. My mom is indigenous and black. I just ended up with the coloring of my white dad. I winked at Will and went to go ask the two boys to help me with the task. Never told them what happened. I didn't get asked back onto Will's crew after that, but nipping racism in the bud was so worth it. "I am half Mexican but look so white. The amount of casually racist remarks I've heard is unreal, and the Pikachu faces when I say, 'You realize I am Mexican, right?' are hilarious." Yeah, I can see that. I think it's happened once or twice that someone comes up to you in a weird way and be like, "Yeah, what about them darn peeps over there?" And you're like, "What are you talking about? Jesus Christ, man." That is such a beautiful way to respond to it. I need to memorize this in case it ever comes up. I don't even think it has to be real. You know, even if someone comes up to you and you're in a part of the group and stuff, you can just be like, "Oh, you know, I'm half this or half that because of this side of the family and blah blah," just to like surprise them and shock them into not doing it again. Who can play that game? Scared an aggressive man off. So, yesterday I was on a bus carrying a huge bolt cutter. It's a tool as long as my arm and really heavy. I'm a small girl, by the way. Borrowed that thing from a friend for some metal cutting. There was a man sitting at the very end of the bus who started yelling, harassing some women standing near the rear door. She got off at the next stop, pounding his fist on the window and so on. I loudly told him to stop disturbing people and that he's in a public setting. He angrily shouted back that he's gonna deal with me. He couldn't see me from where he was sitting. So I got up, took the bolt cutter in my hand, moved so the guy could see me and said, "Alright then, go on." His face kind of fell and he mumbled something and pretty much backed down. Didn't shut up completely, but mostly mumbled to himself after that. Bolt cutters are girls' best friends. Oh my god. That is so satisfying. Standing up to people like this can be very worrisome, especially if like you're of a smaller stature, because you never really know what their intention of escalation is, right? Or if they're drunk or they're high on something, people can be very unpredictable. One thing to keep in mind though is that a lot of public transport actually has security numbers for their security teams and stuff if people are like acting way weird or being aggressive or being super drunk or something like that. So not sure if it's the case where this person lives, but that is the case in certain areas at least. So good to keep in mind. But that is a very satisfying part of the story. Just making bullies back down like that, just call them on their BS. That will never get old. At least I can see with both eyes. Sent to my school bully by myself when I was 8 years old and left tacked somewhere at a house in my toy box. When I was in 3rd grade, there was a girl whose name was Ree, fake name. Ree had been blinded in one eye when she was a baby, so she got catered to by all who taught or knew her. Wanna play with Legos? No! Ree can't see clear to connect them. Really? Okay. Wanna play Duck Duck Goose? No, Ree can't run in circles to chase you. Okay, but the depth of field would be a bit more tricky, I suppose. So that could be accurate, perhaps? She only got one eye. Wanna do a certain art project? No, Ree can't do that. The fumes irritate her eye. But wait a second, is the remaining eye different than what it would be otherwise? Because losing an eye and having an easy, irritable other eye seems like a double condition in that case. I'm not sure if I follow the logic. She took advantage of that too. Had teachers cutting up her food for her at lunch. Wait, what? Wait, what? What the frick? Would fake cry loudly and said people wouldn't share with her when she would openly take things from them, and then she would take them back and say people are mean because she had one eye and forced the kid or kids to give her what they were playing with, etc. Yeah, this sounds like someone who used something like this as an excuse to just become really, really spoiled. This story is very sussy. She would also hit kids or punch them, and when that kid told, they were told they were lying. Ree only has one eye. She's not doing that to you. In short, the class hated her. I am fairly far-sighted, so I needed glasses around this time. When I got my glasses, Ree laughed and made fun of me for having to wear glasses. That's a bit ironic and weird, like... What? She had pissed me off all day with the fake-ass crying poo all day, and that's when I blurted out the title and added I just needed a boost with my eyesight while she only had one eye and called her Cyclops. Kids have no chill, man. Oh my god. Cue the wailing and crying for real from Ree, and when my teacher came over to see what happened, I told her what I said with zero remorse. Teacher was surprised because I was the friendly kid who was kind to everyone, but I guess even friendly kids have their limits. Parents got a phone call and we had to have a meeting about it where they wanted me to apologize, but I refused and told them what Ree had been doing to us all. There ended up being a big meetup, that entire class and their parents and all the kids say how hateful Ree was and how nobody liked her or wanted to play with her. Ree was transferred to a school for kids with special needs shortly after. That sounds so awful to deal with, because of course, you should be understanding or something when someone has a special need or something like that, but in this case it just sounds like they turned it into an excuse to act like an absolute pile of poo. And that's not what it's supposed to be, like come on now. She totally didn't see that one coming. This is a good example that the bully trait does not discriminate. Yeah, that's true, bullies come in all shapes and sizes, that is very accurate. I bet your classmates were glad that she finally switched schools. I know everyone experienced their sickness or disability in their own way, but Reese seems fishy. I am blind on one eye and I have enough sight to connect Legos and cut my food. If she's been blind since she was a baby, her healthy eye should have adapted to compensate by 8. Or maybe my healthy eye is just built different. I don't know. I was born blind in one eye too, and my other eye doesn't compensate just because I come from a family with very bad nearsightedness. I have to call BS on most of her crybaby crap. But due to depth perception issues, I do run into things more often than the average person. So maybe she did really have a problem running in circles. Yeah, in my case, depth perception is an issue too, constantly bumping into stuff. So I can see why she wouldn't have it easy running in circles. Yeah, that seems like a reasonable thing, because that's like the main thing with the brain, that it calculates distance. You can try this yourself by closing one eye and see like how difficult it is to touch stuff like accurately that is further away. Your brain loses a lot of the ability to tell distances apart. That is a big reason why you have two eyes, to triangulate distances. So that is one thing that really adds up, but like not being able to cut your own food, unless there's something more than a one-eye blindness going on, that sounds pretty wild. Am I the butthole? Am I the butthole for mocking my cousin's bald patches in front of his new GF and causing her to dump him? That is a wild title. Okay, let's get into it. I am 17F. My parents and I went for a dinner at my aunt's house. I didn't want to go because my 35-year-old cousin Jared likes to make fun of my appearance. You have a 35-year-old cousin who bullies his teenage relatives? Okay, I'm starting to think that maybe the bald patches isn't the breakup reason, but let's keep going, shall we? I am tall and skinny, but Dad convinced me to go. Jared was already at the dinner table and introducing his GF Melody to everyone. He surprisingly didn't make fun of me like he usually does when we first see each other. Now, I was told by Jared's sister that Jared shaved all his hair off 2 years ago because he was getting bald patches and was embarrassed about them. So anyway, during dinner, Jared finally turned his attention to me. At the time everyone was quiet and asked me loudly, "Hey OP, do you think you will ever put on some weight? You're starting to look anorexic." I just snapped and said, "I don't know, do you think you will ever grow hair where your bald patch spots are?" He got angry and started cussing at me, and I asked if he had a spare brush for me so I could brush my hair. He was told to leave, so him and Melody left. Melody apparently broke up with him that night. Now I'm getting the blame. Am I the butthole? No, you see, he didn't get broken up with because of the fact that he has a bald head. I mean, she can already see that. That is usually not a deal breaker, especially not at 35. But what the breakup reason would be is that he actively bullies teenagers as a 35-year-old, and on top of that, he also can't deal with the clapback from a teenager when he initiated the bullying. That is the breakup reason. It has nothing to do with the baldness. So, you're good, OP. You're good. Tell people how gross I am after pursuing me relentlessly. No more college for you. Oh, that sounds like such a typical nice guy. "Oh, my lady, can I take me out and stuff?" I'm like, "No, I don't go out with strangers." "Ah, you sloot, you're so gross and ugly anyway." Because that's why you ask them out, right? Because you find them gross and ugly. Anyway, let's keep reading, shall we? When I was 18, I started hooking up with my local weed dealer in my dorm. It was illegal at this time to sell weed. He pursued me relentlessly. He kept telling me how beautiful I was, how much he loved having naughty stuff with me, and wanted to be exclusive. He initiated every date or non-naughty hangout we ever did. He then invited a girl from high school to come over and had very loud naughty stuff with her that everyone could hear. It was unbelievably moronic. Oh, so he wanted you to be exclusive, and when you said no, he made sure to try to make you jealous? I don't understand why people do that, because if they already have turned down being exclusive, they're probably not gonna be jealous by you playing games. It's just gonna confirm whatever red flag theories they already had. I realized he was telling our mutual acquaintances how gross I was, how clingy I was, and how horrible that naughty stuff was, as he continued to ask me for it. He wasn't saying this to a friend or two. He was trying to say this to the 40 people that lived on our floor, to anyone who would listen to me. Oh my god, that is absolutely nuts. He went on like a full-on smear campaign because he was salty you wouldn't be exclusive, while keep asking you for hookups, while also telling anyone who would listen how bad they are. Oh, I swear to God, some people just blow my mind with their hypocrisy. It's absolutely wild. He still asked me for naughties after this poo show. I absolutely said no. Then called campus police and reported him for selling drugs. I watched him get escorted out of the building as he had to move out of the dorm. He was suspended from school and his parent made him transfer to a private Christian program with 100 people in Kansas. Bye-bye. I would say that's very justified. Like, if I was going to college and living in a dorm and someone started, I don't know, slandering me to the entire floor because they were salty about some relationship status, I would absolutely do what I could to kick them out too. Get rid of that person, Jesus Christ. One thing that is wild is that I think most people can relate to meeting at least one person like this in their life. I think most people reading this will be like, oh yeah, I know this person, you know? It's absolutely wild. That kind of person who's so needy and pushy and always wants something, but when they can't have it, then twist the whole story around, make it the other way around, make it insulting, go on slander campaigns, try to turn everyone against you. It's absolutely wild and exhausting. Just move on. Your pathetic excuse of a carbon lump. Jesus Christ. Keep your unresolved childhood trauma to yourself, bud. So this was many moons ago, when I was still a lifeguard and a swim instructor. We had a fitness manager at the community center I worked at who was obnoxious, to say the least. A firefighter who worked as a fitness manager on weekends. Might have been a former cop, can't exactly remember. He sucked. At the time, I was in my mid-20s, living at home and helping my older parents out as much as I could. Dad was ill. Mom and I had a contentious relationship, but she needed help, so we're making it work. Anyway, one weekend at work, I was venting to a close friend who worked at a front desk in the gym about something with my mom. I can't remember what the disagreement was about, but we had gotten into it, and I was frustrated. The guy turns around, not remotely a part of the conversation, and says, "Just remember, you shattered every single one of your mom's dreams the day you were born. Be nice to her." As if it's the child's choice to get born. Alright, let's keep digging into this, shall we? My coworker was standing there dumbfounded at the audacity of this very, very mediocre white man. And I looked at him dead in the eyes and said, "Not that it's any of your business, but I am adopted. I was literally every single one of my mom's dreams coming true the day I was born. I am not sure what happened in your family when you were born, or how your wife felt when your daughter was born, but that simply was not the case in my situation." The look on this man's face was absolutely priceless. I wish I had a picture. It was glorious. One of the most satisfying, sassy moments of my young adulthood. Why would they even feel the need to jump into this conversation? You're not allowed to have arguments with family members, because otherwise you're like a regret as a child and you should be grateful that you were born in the first place. I don't know, man. That sounds like abuser-excuser territory, fam. It's up to the parents to choose to have a child. The child didn't decide to be born. The decision-making and stuff is completely opposite. So not only is this statement like completely out there and just aggressive and not your place to argue in the first place, the logic doesn't add up either. You're just kind of poopy.
Hey, long time no talk, and I'm so sorry to ask, but would you be able to send me $100 for diapers and groceries? I am broke until next week and paying rent, and I could really use the help. Happy to pay you back plus interest when I get pay again, please. It's hard being a single mom.
Maybe you should have taken care of your priorities and fed your kid instead of buying all those drinks at the bar last night. I just watched your Snap story and I absolutely am not giving you a darn cent.
Wow, no need to be so rude. You don't know what it's like, butthole.
You are starving your own child because you wanted to go and get drunk. You are a terrible mother. I don't sympathize for you at all, but I do feel sorry for your daughter. If you're going to tug at people's heartstrings, maybe don't post videos of yourself slamming tequila shots 8 hours prior. Get the frick out of my messages. No freaking, oh my god, that is so wild. Like, single parenthood is a struggle, fam, right? I don't think that's a secret, you know, but the wild priority of being like, this month is a bit tight, what should I do? Down overpriced tequila at the local club the entire night, or make sure my baby has diapers for next week? No. If you want to like prioritize your finances and make it work, reducing drinking definitely comes before asking your surrounding for money. Especially when you have an Instagram story of you drinking all your money away. Jesus Christ. AA Ron 42. I'm looking for a wife that's 11 out of 14. You mean like age or... Oh no, it's probably like number of things on this list of requirements. Alright, let's dig into it, shall we? Not promiscuous, spiritual, exercise 5 or 4 times a week, good with money, cooks healthy meals, healthy meals, love children, can maintain a home. I just think health meals sounds like something in a fantasy game. This specific dish restores health. This one restores stamina. Can maintain a house, educated, BDSM submissive, feminine, enjoys being outside, under 175 pounds, loyal, funny, selfless, must-haves. Oh, so the stars are mandatories, but you can remove 3 of the other ones. So you can remove, for example, spiritual, educated, and enjoys being outside. But you have to be good with money, love children. Oh, BDSM submissive is also not a must-have. All right, I see how it is. And here's the first message someone sent to him. My qualifiers must be over 6 foot, make more than 150k a year, pay for the days, less than 8% body fat, knows how to change a tire, drives a vehicle no more than 3 years old, have a master's degree or higher, must be good looking, no kids, likes being pegged. No receding hairline, must have humiliation, kink, looking for a personal collection of personality flaws, no emotional wounded community, PP.
Must not look like a Muppet. Judging by your profile, it seems the only box you check is the humiliation kink.
Dear God, I'm so happy I'm not on dating apps, I swear to God. Reading this kind of stuff gives me like, I don't know, an arm's reach traumatization, like secondhand trauma. Is that a thing? Yeah, so anyway, this feels like that. Very happy. Next post. I have no patience for creeps. I work at an adult store as a young trans guy and has yet to have top surgery. I get a lot of comments from folks about my chest, and just creepy flirtatious stuff in general. For instance, I have eye cups. The boys are big, and I am disabled so I can't bind. Plus my chest is big enough that it's pretty ineffective anyway, so I don't bother. I gave up caring about it years ago and just don't wear a bra or bind or anything. Anyway, something about being in an adult store really makes people think they can say whatever they want, so I deal with a lot of creeps. Oh yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it just brings out something different in people, doesn't it? I wouldn't be surprised if some of it is just people that are really awkward or nervous. They're like trying to make light of the situation but just doing it clumsily, but some of them are definitely just creepy. Dear God. One specific instance was shortly after we opened one day. There is an adult theater in the store as well, and it was still getting clean so it hadn't opened yet. This guy, Creepo, is waiting for it to open so he can go get his rocks off. I am going around wiping dust off of various displays. Creepo is literally following me around the store from like 8 to 10 feet away this entire time. That's how you spend the time waiting? Oh yeah, the show hasn't started. Let me just stalk this employee for a while. That's a nice way to pass the time. Eventually, I go back behind the register to ring something up for a different customer. As I'm getting their stuff ready, Creepo comes up to me and decides to start a conversation. Ooh, that's a conversation you can't wait to deal with, right? I've already been following you like a shadow for a while. Goody. Creepo, how do you get so bobs to look so good? Me, completely unbothered. That's really not an appropriate question to ask now, is it? His face goes white, starts stammering and apologizing like, so sorry, didn't mean to offend, before finally just leaving the store. Something about specifically highlighting the inappropriate comment while not reacting at all makes these guys get so embarrassed. I love it, lol. I think that's a very good method for just putting bullies and creepers and that kind of stuff on the spot, because what they want a lot of the time is for you to get flustered or nervous or feel bad about it. Right? I remember, wasn't it Stephen Fry, I think, something like that, feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, that have a really fun story of when they're back in school, and the bullies used to like, so gay, blah blah blah, used to be like hitting and pushing around and stuff, and he would just say, stop, you're turning me on, and they would always stop because you just out-creep the bully, which is really funny. So I think just turning stuff like this against a bully or the person that wants to make you uncomfortable just puts them on the spot so beautifully and they don't know how to react to it. It's really funny. Am I the butthole for telling my parents they are not getting money off me so they can spoil my siblings the way they never wanted to spoil me? My parents had me at 27 and 29, respectively. I was their only child for 14 years, and in all the years I was living with them, they never believed in nice things or treating me for any reason. They had the money. My mom was often buying more makeup and shoes, and my dad was into golf, so their money went on their hobbies, and I had basics for everything. Anything I wanted, I was told no. Christmas and birthdays were for practical gifts. School supplies they bought without me because it was basically plain everything, and they didn't want me complaining about wanting a character backpack or a pink pencil or something. I always remember it was really hot one summer, and I was like 8 years old maybe. An ice cream truck stopped in our neighborhood, and all the kids were getting ice cream, so I approached my parents who were talking to some neighbors, and I asked if I could have the money for one too. They said no, because ice cream was not an essential, and I could go inside and get some water if I wanted to cool down. It's summer, man, and it's kids gathering around the ice cream truck, come on. A neighbor offered to pay for my ice cream, and my parents put a stop to that as well. I went inside for the rest of the day anyway, because I was upset and jealous watching all the other kids eat their ice creams and knowing my parents wouldn't even let someone else buy me one. I mean, this is that kind of philosophy where they don't want the kid to become spoiled, but it just goes way too far and just makes your kid bitter instead. There is a fine balance between treating your kids or family to things versus spoiling them. Never getting them anything at all is probably not the way to do it. Oh my god, they're allowed to live their life. They started to change after I moved out of home. I noticed when an invite came for my little sister's 5th birthday party, and it was a huge surprise because I never got a birthday party. Oh my god, okay, there is a distinct difference between not wanting to spoil your child and never giving them a birthday party. Oh my god, you're like taking away the magical pieces of childhood. You know, Christmas, birthday parties and stuff. This is, if anything, the days you are allowed to spoil your child. This they can look forward to and, you know, hype it up with their friends and stuff. This is the magical things that form long memories and that could... Oh my god, you're not doing your kids any favor. This is so awful. In the 3 years since they have thrown birthday parties, gone all out for Christmas, they took them on vacation, which I never went on, but my parents did. Then, several months ago, my parents realized I was doing well for myself with my art. They asked me to buy my siblings these big gifts for Christmas, and I said no. My parents say they could only get this so much, and I shrugged. These were easily $300 to $400 gifts each that my parents wanted me to buy.
Oh my god.
I have, like, splurged a bit when there are like kids and stuff in the family and their birthdays and stuff because you want to be the cool hashtag uncle and that kind of thing. But the price range for that stuff is maybe like $80 or $100, something like that. And those are like big gifts, like fancy big toys and trains. $300 to $400. What are you even buying for the kid? Like brand clothing? Oh my god. They were easily $300 to $400 gifts each that my parent wanted me to buy. Wait, so it's like $800. And of course I was to give the gifts to my parents, to give to my siblings. You don't even get to give them to you yourself? They are the ones who's gonna take the credit? Are you actually kidding me? Oh my god! Like, it's not bad enough for, you know, the family to demand you to buy certain gifts that are really pricey. They're also gonna take credit for it? There is no frickin' way, man. A few days ago, my parents asked me for money for stuff for my siblings, and I said no. They said I was being very tight-fisted with my money, and to think of how much it would mean to my siblings. This is when I told them they don't get money off of me to spoil my siblings the way they refuse to spoil me. My parents said I was being petty and that I was punishing the wrong people. Am I the butthole? Oh yeah, no, definitely not. This is so far beyond the line. If you have younger siblings, or nephews or something like that, something that I can relate to, of course you want to buy them gifts and stuff. That is just fun and nice and that kind of stuff. But when you get demands that the gifts have to cost a certain amount, and the amount being ridiculous, and then you don't even get to give the gifts from you? Hell no! What the hell kind of a deal is that? Get that out of here! What the hell?
But she's your mother!
I am no contact with my mother for nearly a decade now, with brief periods where we'd have some forced interactions through family occasions. When I meet new people, especially around the holidays, they ask why I'm not going home to family. I usually say, my mom and I don't talk, so I usually do something by myself for holidays, and try to leave it at that. But every so often, someone will try to push it further, usually something along the lines of,
"But she's your mother, I'm sure it can't be so bad, she loves you."
I have seen the exact carbon copy of this line throw around so much, and I don't think people realize the implications of asking such things of people. And it also tells me that the person making this statement has never, ever, ever had to deal with something similar themselves, like a crappy parent, or a stalker, or an obsessive ex, or like anything like that. They have never, ever dealt with anything similar, like any excuse like this. And you also don't know anything about the situation. You have zero info, and yet you're gonna jump and assume like the one side instantly. Ugh. Depending on how petty I'm feeling, usually hit them with the entirely true, "Well, she tried to kill me once, so I really wouldn't count on that." They always look incredibly sheepish and drop it. Anyway, happy holidays, and never forget your boundaries are yours to defend how you see fit. Yeah, and also like this whole thing that you have a certain relationship with someone, whether that be family relations or, you know, a relative or an ex or whatever that might be, that doesn't mean you owe them a bunch of stuff. Like, sharing blood with someone doesn't mean that they are allowed to treat you however they want. If anything, it should be a reason for them to treat you better.
I recently found out that I am preggo, and unfortunately the father happened to be the married pastor of my church.
Oh, this is some small town drama stuff.
After discussing it with him, he denies any involvement and even suggesting that I should have an abortion. He has labeled me as promiscuous,
says the married man hooking up with young women in his congregation. You're the promiscuous. Get the hell out of here.
Which is completely untrue, as he's the only person I've been intimate with in this time.
I mean, even if you were, you're not the married one. I'ma be honest, fam.
Due to his dismissive behavior and failure to accept responsibility, I have made the decision to publicly announce my pregnancy this Sunday in church in hopes that he will face the consequences of our shared actions and step up as a responsible adult. I am so sad and don't know what to do. I don't want my child to grow up with only one parent.
I'ma be honest, this doesn't sound like the kind of person you will bring up a child with. If I could give advice to this person, it would be to get a paternity test done before making the scene, because someone like this is not gonna all of a sudden like be in on it. If anything, they would try to turn the situation against you and be like, oh, look how hysterical they are doing this in church and lying in the house of our Lord, or you know, something like that. They probably have a little spiel prepared as well in worst case. So getting the proof first is probably a good idea. And don't expect a person like this to actually share in the parenting. I think at best, getting child support is a really good way to go with that if they don't want to step up to their responsibilities. Because someone who's this dishonest and deceitful with their existing family, I don't think you would want to build a family with them. You know, they have already shown what kind of person they are already. You have the cheat sheet in your hand, so to say. That's just my 2 cents based on this very short text, but I wish you the best of luck.
I am not preggo. A while back, when my son was about 2 or 3, I was working in a hospital laboratory. I would often get lunch in the cafeteria. One day, one of the cashiers said something about eating for 2 and was making other similar comments. I must have looked really confused. She then asked me when I was due and reached over and patted my belly. I just looked at her and said, I'm not preggo, I'm just fat. She whipped her hand off my belly like it was on fire. Looking back, I don't think she ever apologized.
Yeah, sometimes I think people just get too embarrassed to apologize and they hope that people just forget about it. I've had that happen once or twice myself as well. Not with this specifically, but like in general. It's really funny in a way, but also kind of sad. Nagging me and my spouse for sleeping in? My parents have been staying with my spouse and I for an extended period. As parents do, they make passive-aggressive comments about how we utilize our time, particularly what time we leave our bedroom on weekends when we have nothing planned. Yeah, that's one thing I've seen repeated a few times, like with different relatives and stuff. It's sometimes difficult to leave that like child and parent dynamic. It usually fixes itself when people move out and that kind of stuff, but sometimes it can slip back and it's really awkward because it's like, I'm an adult. If I'm not asleep on a Saturday, that's no one's business. If I pay the rent for my house and I go to work like a responsible adult, everything around that is up to me. Note that my parents have complete independence. There's no reason to need us. They are purely judgmental because they think we are wasting our time sleeping in. It is, if you had gotten up earlier, you could have spent time in the morning doing XYZ, or comments about how long we sleep. They are the type to get up early and seize the day and think we are lazy for doing otherwise. Well, last time my mother said, if you had been up earlier, I replied, oh sorry, husband and I are trying for a baby. I'm still on birth control, but if it happens, we should be happy. That shut her up. She is religious and the type to pretend that sex doesn't exist. Now she won't comment again about why 2 grown adults like to spend time in their bedroom. Make them stay up late with you? If you hadn't gone to bed so early, you would have. That's what I was thinking too. If sleep is lazy, it's lazy whether you do it in the morning or in the evening. Yeah, that's also true. And different people also sleep for a slightly different amount of time. Also depending on age, like different ages need different amount of sleep. And there are many aspects to this kind of stuff. So like being picky about when someone else wakes up on a weekend seems incredibly petty. Scaring and scarring my bully for life. Trigger warning. So in 11th grade, 2016 to 2017, there was a secret gift exchange going on at the small school I went to. I got the guy I was dating at the time and gave him a blanket and a hoodie. That is so sweet. My bully handled my gift. Goodie. The nice stuff when names are scrambled and that kind of thing. The treats. She got a small wooden box with a Jack Skellington wrapping paper and said, open this when you get home. I tried to open it in front of her, but she said, I will just hold on to it. She gave it to me on the way out of school. I opened it, 4 razor blades with the words "End It" carved into the lid. Oh my god. I mean, even for like a teenage bully, that's really fucking low. Holy crap. So doing what any petty 16-year-old with a po-ton of SFX makeup and extensive knowledge on how to make fake blood, scars and stitches, I got my mom and sister involved, and we got to work. It was winter break. My aunt, who had no idea about this, gifted me a professional special effects kit. Every morning from the beginning of 2017 all the way through the day I graduated, I would sit with my mom and she would help me with the stitches, the placements of the rigid collindon and red eyeshadow. And everyone thought I had tried to do it, so to say. My bully was given ISS every day and was searched before school for the remainder of 2017. 6 whole months. Oh my god, I mean, for very good reason, Jesus Christ. And I would do the same routine every morning. My mom would come pick me up to go to get my stitches out or go to therapy, and we would get Red Robin to see a movie or go to Hot Topic or something. I mean, sounds like a treat though. What a good vibe with your mom, hell yeah. We would just make the scar smaller and less obvious, but still visible every day for a year and a half. The day I graduated, my mom and I walked up to the bullies' table before we left. I asked if they wanted to see something cool, and then I took some water and got it to loosen the rigid collindon, fake scar tissue, makes the skin look rigid like it's scarring or scarred, and then I ripped the scar off my skin like a wax strip. My family and I went to Red Robin with my best friend and her mom after that. Oh my god! The absolute dedication! I mean, I really like that kind of payback, honestly, and they had to live with that, get searched every day in school, like see it day in, day out, like this, like, you know, therapy and the scarring and stuff after that, even if it isn't real. I hope that person really learned a lesson, because that is so awful to do. I mean, crappy teenagers and all that kind of stuff, but this is so far over the line for this crappy teenager stuff. I mean, if you pick the wrong person on the wrong day, something like that can really push someone over the edge. This is like so far beyond what would be deemed acceptable, even in like shitty prank context. This is so far over the line. So I really hope they learned a lesson. I hope they were really humiliated, felt bad about it for a long time and never did it again. Not entirely sure, because people like this seems to be a bit of 50-50 if they actually change or not, but I think you made a very beautiful effort, and the relationship with your mom and sister sounds like an absolute blast. She doesn't like me. Y'all wanted more stories of my birch mother-in-law? Well, here you go. The title was said to me by her when my daughter was 6 months old, and every time she tried to interact with my baby or even touch her, my daughter wailed like a siren. Every single time. Mother-in-law asked what I was doing to my baby to make her hate her. I turned to her and smiled and said, "Kids can sense evil." She didn't come back to see my daughter for 2 whole months. Oh my god. I don't know how like scientifically true it is or that kind of thing, but you usually say that, for example, dogs or small kids and stuff are very good at detecting bad vibes, because they don't have anything else going on. You know, they don't have, for example, the intention of faking stuff for, you know, pleasantries or anything like that. What you see is that the raw reaction. So if they have a bad vibe about someone, they usually show it. The private things kids say. This is a mild one, but one of my favorite experiences as a mom. As a proper millennial parent in the US, I taught my children the correct names for all body parts. I'm sure you can see where this is going. When my son was 3, I hadn't yet cut his hair, because he didn't want to and I didn't want to fight about it. One afternoon we went shopping at the local grocery store. We were just chatting and minding our business as we shopped. This little old lady with white hair came up and said, "Oh, what a cute little girl you have." My son turned around to her and said, "I am not a girl, I have a penis." Her only response was, "Well, I never." As she walked away. I mean, that's very funny and kind of like a small little innocent, just like, damn. Her child is a little savage, hell yeah. Your name is misspelled. This is my father's story. Years ago, he worked at a grocery store and was bagging groceries for a customer. She looked at his name badge and told him rather confidently, "That's not how you spell your name. It needs to be spelled like this to be correct." He proceeds to mess with her by leaning over quietly and whispering, "This is the name the witness protection program gave me. I didn't really get to choose it." Needless to say, there wasn't much left for her to say and she walked out. That's also so stupid. Names can usually be spelled in like in many different ways, you know, and especially if you go abroad, that's even more so. So like, who would ever tell someone that their name is misspelled?
No, this is the only way to spell your name. Bip, bip.
Karen. Karen harasses fellow customer. The customer tells her she needs her eyes checked. So this didn't happen to me, I just witnessed it. This happened in a supermarket in the UK. A fairly big store which has concession shops at the back. A pharmacy, a dry cleaners, optician's doctor, and a phone store. These shops are little units with open fronts to the store. So I'm doing some shopping and it's fairly quiet as it's mid-morning, midweek. Down the aisle there's a cool-looking girl wearing a bright tie-dye... Did that rhyme, man? Jesus Christ. Bright tie-dye t-shirt. Ah, what a tongue twister. Bright blue combat trousers and crazy pink hair. She is listening to music and is kind of dancing along. She clearly doesn't work at the store. Suddenly, a woman comes barreling past me, charges up to the girl and yells,
"What are you doing? You should be helping people." What? You need to help me now. I don't work here. Yes, you do. Show me where your sun cream is. But now, or I will get you fired.
Now this girl doesn't look anything like an employee and just stares at the Karen for a minute. Then she says, "Okay, follow me." Karen looks smug and follows her. I then discreetly follow them because I really want to know where this is going, lol. So cool girl and Karen went the way down the aisles until they get to the back of the store. They get to the concession shops and cool girl says, "What brand are you looking for?" Karen names a popular brand and cool girl then offers to bring her all the different choices in that brand for her to select from. Karen,
"Well, that's more like it,"
with a big smirk on her face. Girl, "If you can just take a seat here," and offers her a seat in the nearest concession shop. She then points to the concession shop name and asks Karen if she can read it. Karen looks confused and says,
"Yes, it says Specsavers."
Options for those outside the UK.
Girl, "Yep, and clearly you need to be here because I don't look anything like the staff. I don't work here, you crazy cow. Should have gone to Specsavers."
And then she ran away, leaving Karen dumbfounded and the optician's receptionist, who had just come back, very confused. Note, for those not in the UK, "should have gone to Specsavers" is the well-known marketing strapline. Oh yeah, I think we have that here too in Sweden, that rings a bell. Oh my god, that is so funny. I would like to hear the continuation, how the Karen reacted to this after the person had left. I'm guessing they just like, and then just walked away-ish. That's roughly what I think happened. Oh, that is so beautiful. I don't think the Karen learned anything, but I like to think they did. Well, laddies, lasses, and lassos, I do hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed having you here, you wonderful and beautiful being, and I'm looking forward to see you again in the very near future. Take care. Mwah.